So, what do the big telecom expense management firms do and not do to help companies manage telecom expenses? In this video, I'll discuss how they help and how the clients I've seen can end up wasting up to 50% of their telecom budget on services they don't need or use or overpay for. And I'll show you how firms have avoided the common pitfalls of telecom expense management and save money on telecom bills. What I've seen is that most of these TEM firms, or telecom expense management firms, focus on one big area, which is billing errors. And they have a process to help companies process the bills every month and catch the billing errors. So catching billing errors is one really important area. And billing errors are usually somewhere around 10% of this potential savings, maybe 20% in some instances. And processing bills is also time consuming, so the hard and soft savings can really add up for companies. And you may want to know about the other 80 to 90% of the savings, which could total 40% or more of your budget. And these savings come from fixing profit leaks from unused and underutilized services, making sure you get the best pricing on the services you do want. And every firm I've talked to doesn't get help from the big TEM firms with these two big ways to save money. So that's what I've seen. And based on my client experience, the big firms in the TEM space don't seem to have people on staff who have expertise to help with these two areas. So you need people with expertise in two areas, either on staff in your own company or at one of these TEM firms, or whoever you work with. You need people who understand the telecom services and why people buy them, and can identify which services aren't really serving business needs anymore and can either be shut down or they can be optimized at a lower rate. And someone from accounting typically isn't qualified to help with this. You really have to understand telecom services and what they do and how they're being used by the organization. And the other type of expert you need, and somebody can have expertise in both these areas, is you also need experts who understand the telecom industry and how to find out what the best pricing is and whether other firms are getting better rates and they can negotiate deals or make sure the organization is taking advantage of all the rate plans and discounts that are available to you. And again, someone from accounting typically isn't qualified to help with this, as they don't have industry knowledge or access to market data or access to the right people, to vendors, to get this help. So you also need people to consistently find and execute on these opportunities, working with the vendors until the savings are captured. And these people with this type of expertise are generally quite skilled with years of experience in telecom and come from the industry. And most organizations don't have access to people like this and can't train them up. So one thing which might be interesting is that I remember I had a hiring interview with one telecom expense management firm. And they said they wanted clients spending $500,000 a month. So this really surprised me, as I knew I could save companies spending $500,000 a year a lot of money, which is an order of magnitude smaller. So why wouldn't they want to help them too? So as I learned more, I realized they were really adding a lot of value to small firms, and the implication was they were leaving a lot of money on the table for bigger firms. And since then, I've worked with multiple firms where they're getting help from a TEM firm fixing billing errors, and it was going well. And they were also getting data from these large TEM firms about what they were buying. However, they didn't have anyone who could use this data to optimize their wireless or landline services and the cost of those services. So I was able to come in and help and save them a lot of money on rates and optimizing services. So why is this important? Well, what I've seen is that for a lot of firms, telecom expense management sounds like something that doesn't add a lot of value, because the only help they've had is from firms who fix billing errors. And for most firms, billing errors aren't that bad and don't move the needle. But these same firms almost always could save about 50% of their budget if they had someone who could manage telecom expenses for them, and not just fix billing errors, but also optimize their services and get rid of unused services, as well as make sure they get the best rates. So they're leaving a lot of money on the table, money that could be spent on new initiatives that grow the business instead of spending more money on the same old stuff every year, which is a complaint I hear from a lot of CIOs, which is that too much of the budget goes to the same old stuff. And turns out there are things that can be done with telecom costs to fix that problem and free up a lot of money. So please comment with any thoughts and experiences you've had. Please share this with anyone you think would help learning about this. You can also check out the book, and there's a link to the website in the channel description. And please feel free to reach out on email or LinkedIn. Look up Berlin Pacific if you're spending a lot of money on telecom or other vendor services and you'd really like to spend less and you're very serious about it. I'd love to hear from you, and usually we can help. Take care. Bye-bye.